I'm going to be sharing with you in this video why you should stop being with your pain and do this instead. I know this might sound a little bit controversial because many people will say, be with your pain, don't resist the pain. Now, I'm not saying that you should just resist pain. I'm not saying that you should not be with your pain, which is a double negative. So I'm not saying that you should allow the pain to be there. I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm going to be sharing with you in this video exactly what I mean by that, so that you can really know what to do with fear, with pain in your life, and use this as a tool to consciously craft the life that you truly want for yourself. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, all the details for that will be down below. I recently just launched email coaching, as well as I have a couple spots left for my one-on-one coaching program. All the details for that will be down below. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you, I know that this title might be a little bit clickbait. It might be a little bit triggering, perhaps. I don't know if that's the word. It's the opposite of what most people will tell you, right? People will say, oh, just be with your pain, right? Allow the pain to be there, accept the pain. Look, if you're anything like me, that mentality has not been useful. Being with pain has never done anything for me other than create more pain. Now, I know how that sounds. It can sound it can create this kind of mentality where it seems like somebody that's inviting you to do that is telling you to amplify the pain in your life, and that maybe that person is up to no good. What I'm sharing with you here is going to be a practical process and explanation that I found to actually deal with pain head on. Okay, so I want to make a disclaimer here. What I'm not saying in this video is not to fully feel your pain. I would never say to not fully feel your pain and to resist your pain, because what happens is that if you don't look at pain, if you don't see pain for what it is, that will create more of it. So I already have that deep understanding in my life. But I've come to see that accepting pain and fully feeling it is only the first level. It's only the first step. There's another step to the process that we call life. If you want to succeed in creating what you want, if you don't want to succeed in creating what you want, then this information maybe is not for you. If you don't want to remove pain out of your life, then this information is probably also not for you. And that sounds like, well, doesn't everybody want that? Yes, true. You would think that's obvious that everybody wants that, but I've come to see that it's not as obvious as you would think, because we can start to attach to our pain and suffering, and as insane as it is, we stay stuck there and we convince ourselves that we want that, even though we'll say out to the world, I don't want pain, I don't want this, I don't want this. While we're saying that, we are in a state of pain. That's what's happening, right? And it's quite literally insane. So what I want to share with you to start off this video, now that the disclaimer is out of the way, is that I've come to see that pain and fear is very intelligently telling you something. Okay, so pain, what I want to share with you is that pain is telling you to do something. That's what pain and fear are for. Pain and fear is your driving force in life. Despite what many people will tell you that I've come to see on the internet and in life, and what people around you will try to convince you of, I had to start thinking for myself and say this second, because many people have told me in the past, look at the pain, be with the pain, go deeper into the pain. And I'm not saying that wasn't useful. I'm not saying that I even hold any anger or resentment towards what I've learned in these types of situations, because I needed to go through that. I've learned skills, I've learned valuable lessons, but what I've come to see is that that's only the first step to dealing with any kind of pain. True healing, I've come to realize, happens when we understand that pain and fear, looking at it and seeing it and fully experiencing it is one aspect of it for sure. But another aspect of it is to do something about it. And that's the thing that most people don't want to hear, right? When I say like do something about it, nobody wants to hear that. But I wanna ask you something. Why is it that when somebody says something like that, why is that such a triggering topic? Because you would think that when you tell somebody to do something about their pain, that they would actually be very happy that they're giving you an explanation. It's a problem-solving kind of explanation. When somebody comes in and says, do something about the pain, and pain and fear can be used as fuel, and somebody is like coming in and inviting you to the possibility that pain and fear can be used as fuel to create something, why does that trigger so many people? That's what I never understood in my life personally, is like, how come that's such a like taboo and like sensitive topic? Well, I understand why, because many people have very triggering experiences and painful experiences that they're very attached to. And as little as these people in life, and I've been in this before, so I'm not attacking anybody, I'm only speaking for my past self here, right? As little as we want to admit it, when we're attached to our pain, we are attached to the pain. Because think about it like this, the more that somebody's attached to their pain, right? Attached to their pain of the past, when you invite them to do something about it, two things will happen. Either the person will not believe in their pain, and they'll start taking action and use it as fuel and as motivation, and they'll agree with you. Or what will happen is that they'll get so triggered and they'll move even deeper into their pain. And so the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is that, you know, despite what people will tell you in like the spiritual community, I'm not attacking anybody here, but I've just noticed it's a common theme in the spiritual circles, is that I want to share with you that no matter where you hear it, okay, my perspective personally is that being with pain is insanity. It's insanity. Right? I'll give you an example here. I've shared this example before, but I want to be able to use language here and the English language to, as clearly as possible, communicate the insanity of any mentality of like being with pain and like accepting the pain. And I'm not saying, by the way, that accepting pain is something you shouldn't do once again, but to stay there is insanity. Let me give you an example. Because there's lessons that you learn from being in pain. Suffering is simply a lesson. Now let me give you an example. So if you burn your hand, I've shared this before, but I want to go even deeper on this. If you burn your hand on a stove, that hurts, okay? Or if you burn your hand in a fire, that hurts. Or let's say you're walking outside and you do something and you like sprain your ankle. You injure yourself, you hurt yourself in some way. Now, of course, to heal your hand, you need to be with it. Is that true though? Yes, you need to be with it, but also what people do is when your hand is hot and it hurts, you don't want to stay in the hurt. Usually you take an ice pack and you put it on the heat. You put it on the heat. To contrast the burn, you take cold, and then that becomes a healing modality. That becomes the choice of healing. Okay, now imagine if you were to be with the pain, you know what I'm saying? And then to try to heal the pain, to try to burn the initial burn on the stove, you put your hand on the stove again. It's like, okay, I burned my hand on the stove. To heal this, I'm going to try to burn it on the stove again. Wait, what? I believe that this is what most people think being with pain is initially hurting themselves, forgetting that they hurt themselves to begin with, and then they go back and hurt themselves even more to try to heal the problem that they did to themselves to start with. And so I know that sounds maybe a little bit confusing. I hope it's simple the way I communicated it. But what I'm saying is that being with pain, yes, and to some degree, depending on the way that you want to explain the situation, you do need to be with the pain to heal it. Because of course, to heal that burn, you do have to fully feel the burn. You do have to fully feel it. You do have to fully accept it. But what I think many people don't also add on top of that, which is the explanation that I think I don't know. I don't want to sound. I'm trying to say this in the least arrogant and egotistical way as possible, because like when I say stuff like this, it can sound very egotistical and arrogant and like I know everything, and I'm aware that that's how it comes off, and it can sound like not relatable. The message can sound not relatable, but I want to say this in the least arrogant way possible. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, without sounding arrogant, without sounding egotistical, I think that a lot of people, what they miss is the fact that they weren't just being with the pain. Okay, they took the ice and they put it on the hot part of the body. Now that sounds obvious. I know it sounds obvious when you give us such a simple example. It's like, isn't that obvious? But is it so obvious when you look at more nuanced examples where people are maybe attached to some past situation that happened to them, or like a breakup with their old partner or whatever? Something hurt them, and then they go back to the same situations that hurt them to try to fix them. Does that make sense the way I'm saying that? It's almost like we hurt ourselves in whatever area. I'm giving an extremely simple example, such as burning the stove, but in a more nuanced way, it's almost like we hurt ourselves wherever, and then to try to fix it, we go back to the same thing that initially caused the problem. Okay, so what I'm trying to share here is that being with pain, if you want to remove pain out of your life, if you want to decrease the amount of suffering, it's not just being with the pain, it's doing something about it. It's taking action. And what is action? Action is simply moving around the energy. It's flowing the energy and alchemy. You could say alchemization is one way, but I don't really like that word because it can sound very unrelatable, right? You could say like alchemization is one way of healing. But really when I say alchemization, what I'm saying in simpler terms is you're grabbing an ice pack and putting it on that hot thing. You take cold water on the burn. That's very obvious, I know, but it's like, is it so obvious? Again, because I think about it. Think about like how many patterns we can get stuck in where we keep recreating our pain over and over and over. And then we maybe read online somewhere, like in a spiritual book or something. And again, I'm taking my past self here, of course, because I used to do this a lot. I read in a book somewhere that like we move deeper into the pain, accept it. And then it's like, no, actually, you need to stop accepting it. You need to go do something about it. If your life is miserable, if you're in pain, if you're in resistance, you got to do something about it sometimes. Not always, but a lot of the times, the best advice for somebody is to stop being with the pain and start taking action. You know, it all depends on where a person's at in their journey, right? Because a lot of the spiritual advice that I got when I was younger and, you know, in older aspects of my journey, younger or maybe older, my older self, right? It was good advice at the time based on that level of development that I was at. But at my current level of development, I can see that there's going to be a lot of sticking points, and there could be a lot of misinterpretation, a lot of miscommunication. The true message can't be heard when you tell somebody that perhaps is, you know, in a state of deep inaction, a state of deep, like there's too much stillness in their life. There's too much acceptance in their life, right? They need to take a little bit of action. They need to step a little bit more into the dimension of doing and action. To still honor the dimension of stillness, but to step a little bit more into the doing realm, right? And I think that this can be, you know, a big problem for many people, that what their heart really wants is to take a little bit more action and to, you know, use that pain as fuel. And then they keep hearing spiritual advice that's like, oh yeah, just be the pain, but they don't really want that. It doesn't resonate with them. They want to take more action. So what I want to share here is to invite you with the possibility that like being with pain is insanity. It kind of is insane. It can become an insane loop where you need to stop being in the pain. And what you need to do, you don't need to do, but it becomes a human need at some point, right? Really what you want to do and what you could say you need to do, and again, nobody wants to hear that, but I would say what you want to do, and I would say it's stronger than a want, but it's you could say it's a want just for the purposes of making it relatable. What you really want is to move out of the pain. Stop, and of course that's obvious, right? If the advice being with pain helps you to feel less pain, then trust that advice. But if somebody tells you to take action and that makes you feel less pain, then trust that advice. Isn't the whole point of any teaching or any understanding to reduce the amount of pain and suffering in your life. If you read a book around spirituality that is making you feel more pain and not allowing you to feel more whole and complete, wouldn't you say that's not a good piece of advice to follow? Maybe at a later time in your life it resonates, but then why would you listen to it if it doesn't resonate? You see what I'm trying to say? So to conclude this video, what I'm trying to say here is that what I think people they don't see the significance of, in my personal opinion, is that your body and mind is extremely intelligent. It's so intelligent that I think like people can forget that if you're feeling lots of pain, your body is trying to tell you something, that something needs to change, that something's not right, and something needs to be done about that. Whether it's reading a spiritual book to make you feel less painful, and to feel less pain and to feel more peace, then read that book. But if reading that book stops making you feel whole, and maybe you need to go take some action and do something while still remaining and honoring that dimension of stillness within yourself, because stillness, the whole point of stillness is to not have pain. You can take that stillness and bring it into the doing dimension, and that's part of my life purpose, I believe, is to do as much as possible in the world within holding my energy of being. Okay, and if I lose that beingness, then I do what I need to do, paradoxically, in order to bring back that dimension of being. Okay, so that's what I want to conclude this video with, is the understanding that your body and mind is extremely intelligent, and never to dishonor that, because when you dishonor the intelligence of your body and mind, in my experience, you will face the consequences of that, which can possibly be more unnecessary pain in your life. Pain might happen, but you might experience more pain than necessary. Sometimes pain might be necessary to learn a lesson, perhaps. You could say that pain maybe is not necessary at all, but depending on where you're at in your journey, for me, I could say that sometimes pain is necessary, but to learn a lesson, but then at some point there becomes an unnecessary amount of pain. And I think that the body and mind is trying to communicate to us when we are in an extremely unnecessary amount of pain. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, all the details for that will be down below. There's 2 ways to do that. Number 1 is email coaching. I take a couple spots per month, as well as I only have a couple spots left for my one-on-one coaching program. Within like a 3 to 6 month block, I only take extremely limited amounts of clients, sometimes maybe 5, but up to 2 clients, even very little amount of clients. So if you do want to be a part of that program, while there are still spots available, all the details for that will be down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next